predominantly like individuals have that mindset of I need to get here and that's going to be my launch pad for everything else.
Valley or bust. It has been a common refrain for many Canadian entrepreneurs over the years, but recently things have come to a head. New data shows that only 1/3 of high potential startups, that's startups who have raised $1 million or more, created in 2024, are still headquartered in Canada in 2025. Half of them having left for the United States. Now, you don't even have to be an entrepreneur to feel the pull of Silicon Valley. US tech workers are actually paid 46% more on average than their Canadian counterparts. So today on the Beta Kit podcast, we speak to one Canadian entrepreneur who has drained, Naeen Abdi, co-founder of hard tech hiring platform Coair. Until recently a third-year University of Waterloo student, Naeen explains what brought him to SF, what's keeping his company there, and what could possibly draw him back to Canada. Toronto Tech Week leaders of Shopify, Wealthsimple, and Coair told Canadian founders to just say no to leaving Canada. Is that message too late? Let's dig in. This episode of the Beta Kit podcast is presented by QuickBooks on the Intuit platform, built to help Canadian businesses work smarter, more efficiently, and make confident decisions. QuickBooks on the Intuit platform is an all-in-one connected platform that uses artificial intelligence and human expertise to simplify how you run and grow your business. From managing cash flow and payroll to personalized, proactive insights leveraging the power of AI agents, QuickBooks helps you save time and focus on what matters most. All right, Naeen, I'm super happy to be having this conversation with you because we got connected recently, and you told me, I guess, your a little story about your founder journey that seems to be pretty common these days. So I'm gonna basically have our audience learn a bit more about you, your company, and your journey, and then we're gonna maybe see how common that is amongst Canadian entrepreneurs of your age. But where I maybe want to start is, like, you're currently based in SF. You got a pretty good desk chair and a remote podcast microphone, so you're basically ready to go. Do you want to talk a little bit about your company and what brought you to SF?
Yeah, of course. So my name's Naeen. I'm co-founder of Coair. We're the first AI vetting infrastructure for deep tech. So essentially what we do is think electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, civil engineers. We help companies find the best by emulating everyday engineering tasks. And that's something that really doesn't exist right now in these spaces. If you think like software or business consulting roles, like it's very simple to test a candidate on the things they'll actually be doing on the job. It's not the same in these physical disciplines of engineering. And so I, once upon a time, I guess, was attending Waterloo for electrical engineering.
Mhm.
That's kind of up in the air now. But from that experience and doing those internships, oh gosh, I hope they don't watch this.
No, we'll get to that part. But let's
Yeah.
talk about you were talking about, like, so you're doing you're studying electrical engineering. This is not the I'm like a level 10 engineer. I can code my way through anything. This is like, I'm the dude that plugs things into breadboards and works with CAD key and does this type of stuff. And I guess this is a segment of the industry that hasn't been modernized when it comes to hiring practices. Like, how walk us through what that process is normally like without your company.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. So, how it is right now is, I would say, very archaic, very Frankenstein. Really, that's the easiest way to put it. Like, essentially, what they have to rely on is, like, I've heard some wild stories. So, generally, there's like conceptual questions that they'll ask. Like, think about you taking an exam in a classroom, which, as everybody knows, is never representative of what you're actually going to be doing on the job.
Yeah.
Um, but I think some of the, like, more funny examples I've heard is, like, there was an individual or an interviewer who, like, put a webcam on their head so that they could actually work through the components and, like, debugging a PCB with
Mm.
the candidate, having a virtual interview. And so there's, like, so many different ways to try and emulate, like, them being in the same space or them having the same technology to actually work through the issue. Um, and none of them is as good as, like, having a standardized structured approach.
Gotcha. Okay. So for, 80% of all jobs across industries, Zoom gets it done. For the industry that you're playing in, you actually need some sort of presence, and sticking a webcam to your forehead doesn't quite cut it.
Just doesn't quite cut it.
So are you running people through like the testing process? Like what does the software do?
Yeah, so essentially the software, like, emulates, like, that engineering task you'd be doing. So, for example, PCB, if you're a test engineer or hiring for a test engineer, right now, like, I mean, I interviewed for a test engineer role once, and they asked me, "How would you debug a PCB?" Now, anybody who's, like, read a textbook or watched a few tutorials could answer that, right?
Mhm.
But, what we're doing is, like, we would simulate a PCB on their screen, give them all the tools they would need, like an oscilloscope, a multimeter, whatever the case may be, and have the candidate work through it like they're actually, like, in the lab, but still keeping it, like, computationally not so intensive that you can do it on a browser-based hiring context.
Yeah. Okay. So you're just like an engineer trying to help other cracked engineers get hired by proving their capabilities, essentially.
Exactly. I think things need to be a lot more skills based. Like, I didn't really grow up with a crazy amount of connections. So I
Yeah.
feel like every opportunity I got, like, not to toot my own horn, was like because I actually practiced for it and like had to earn those opportunities. And I think oftentimes in a lot of roles, people who are really talented don't have the opportunity to demonstrate that. And so
Yeah.
giving them the platform to do that is like a really important.
That's awesome. Okay, so then when did you decide to turn this idea into a company? Like when did you found Coair? And then how did you find yourself in SF? When did that happen?
Yeah, okay, so we're technically incorporated on in November 2024.
So a
Um,
long time ago.
yeah, a while back.
Basically a
But
year.
yeah,
Congratulations.
yeah, I know, I'm really excited. I think it's November 8th. I should get like a cake or like a pie or something. I need to celebrate this. But yeah, so we're basically incorporated on them. But I think while I was still in school, and I guess this is gonna touch on the topic later, while I was still in Waterloo,
Yeah.
it wasn't really moving as fast as I wanted it to. Like it just wasn't A, I wasn't putting my full time effort into it. B, the opportunities just weren't there. Um, and so like the reason I kind of chose to move forward with it or like actually push forward with an entrepreneurial path was that I was sitting in one of my internships. I was at BDO or Ford, and then I was at BDO, so both. Like, to be honest, I loved it. I loved the
Yeah.
team, but like, there's something about sitting in the mundane, asinine life of a 9 to 5 that I just couldn't do it anymore. And I was like, I want to build something of my own.
Gotcha.
Uh, yeah. So then Esther, my co-founder, and I, she's from U of T, we started like just asking a bunch of engineers. We're like, do you hate the fact that you don't have the opportunity to showcase like what you can actually do? And I started talking to my old boss, and I was like, how do you find like the best engineers? You'd be like, honestly, half of the time I just like for interns at least, I'll make them third year or above because I just like it's a shot in the dark. It's throwing spaghetti at the wall. I might as well just put some sort of like cutoff, right? And so like a lot of noise was around this problem, and like nobody was trying to solve it. So then we're working through it, and then I'm in Texas at one part
Okay.
for a conference, and
'Cause I'm
my
assuming
friend
because Texas is like a huge place for these types of electrical engineers, like the component processing, like OG Texas Instruments, like that's the mecca of PCB boards and stuff like that.
yeah, so there's actually there's a huge like hard tech space and environment in those areas, and I was actually in Houston,
Mhm.
um, and yeah, so they're like a huge conference, like a tech conference, and my friend turns and says, "Hey, there's like this pitch competition going on at Waterloo." So we sign up. It was run by a VC called a four. We sign up and we do it, and then like we just thought would be like a fun flight to SF, maybe like see
Yeah.
where it goes. Yeah, and then they're like, "Hey, like, would you want to just like if we offer you like a I guess like a pre-seed, like would you want to come in and work on it in SF full time?" And in the beginning, we were like, this must be a scam because with the way things move in Waterloo and Toronto, that seemed way too fast. You don't talk to the decision makers that quickly, right? So
Yeah.
it was a very shocking moment. And but after like a lot of discussion, we decided to take a year off, probably more now, and go work on it.
Okay. So as I understand it, basically they are paying you for like a year to work down there. Like, was that the conditions of you guys winning, or was that something on top? Because you had won some pitch competitions in the UW area. I got some links in here. You the From the Velocity Incubator. There's UW Spring 2025 Enterprise Co-op pitch winners. You guys were just crushing these pitch competitions, which should be another podcast topic, or maybe we'll close off on some advice that you can give other founders on how to win a pitch competition.
Yeah.
What was the delta between the pitch competitions you were winning in Canada versus the pitch competition that brought you to SF? Is
Well, I
it
think
just capital? Are they literally paying you to be there right now?
so, like, initially, that was the case, right? Like, that initial funding kinda served to give us the opportunity to come out here and live here, right? Not only live here, but also, like, comfortably pay for, like, the SaaS tools we needed and, like,
Mm,
the whether it was, like, dinners or, like, to go meet individuals, like, and just everything you would think of in a founder life, like, that supported that, and I think as much as I'm very grateful to the pitch competitions I had, like the ones you had named, it was, A, like, obviously a lot less capital, and B, the the pitch competition, you did it and then it was done, right? This one we did it and I don't even know, like, in my head, I don't even know what happened to the actual pitch competition, right? Because this just turned into something completely different, turned into us, like, going and actually, like, being a part of their portfolio.
yeah,
Um, yeah, so it was like I think it's funny in that sense, like, the Canadian pitch competitions that I had done, it kinda ended there, whereas this one, like, propelled the rest of the entire journey, and that was just one, right? So, I think
gotcha.
that was a pretty telling.
Okay.
Yeah.
What has the experience been so far in SF, and then just maybe like relative to Canada? Because I think part of what we're trying to figure out here is why um, the Valley is so compelling to young founders just starting out, and why are seeing such a huge portion of entrepreneurs take almost immediate leaps outside of the country. So like you've landed in, you've got some seed funding, you've got enough to start the company really and like pay for the things that you need. Um, what has the experience been like working there than here? Other than the capital, what are you getting? Are you locked into SF and you just got these golden handcuffs and you're waiting to leave, or are you taking advantage of the opportunity? How has the experience been different?
Yeah, I think the experience been, like, honestly, probably one of the best experiences of my life. Really, to put it plain and simple. And I used to be the type of person that wanted everyone would be like, "Oh, Cali or bust," and I didn't really care. I was like,
Mhm.
It can't be that much different. There can't be that much of a change." And then I got here and realized, like, wow, atmosphere is really powerful. Like, there is I think one of the biggest things is, like, the distance to the opportunities is so small. Like, you turn left, you turn right, there's another founder, there's somebody building something really cool in a space you might be in a space you might be interested in learning about. Everybody's talking about go-to-market strategy or, like, how to do with your next round or who you should be talking to get X information. And I think that like, distance to opportunity is something that's not necessarily directly related to capital. I think it's just there is a environment here, a way of life where people are constantly trying to make the next big thing. And that is what I love. Because I felt like often, whether it be classes or like other individuals like that I was around, it was like, I want to land this FANG role or I want to go work at X and I want to go work at Y. And like, obviously like that's great, but it wasn't the environment I was looking for. Like I wanted to like change something, like catastrophically rip something apart and
Mm.
like see like the ripples I could leave behind. And that is the environment here.
Okay. There's two things you're touching upon here. There's like the perspective of your like student peer group at UW, and then what you're seeing from SF, and maybe what everybody's looking for to kickstart their careers. I want to go back maybe let's start with your student peer group first, because you had said the Valley or bus, and I have had the experience of being around UW and just the Kitchener Waterloo area in general, and like literally seeing physical signs of like Valley or bus going on. This is not a new thing. It, what is the conversation amongst your student peer group about either staying in Canada or maybe leveraging the university brands to propel themselves? Because I think before we were recording, certainly when we were talking before, you're like not a lot of these UW grads or engineers really graduate. They're not necessarily sticking around. Is there an expectation that they're just going there as the launching pad, or are they getting pulled away?
I think it's a mix of both. But I will say it's predominantly, like, individuals have that mindset of, "I need to get here, and that's going to be my launch pad for everything else."
Gotcha.
Like, that was the conversation, like, everywhere you turned, people were saying, "Okay, I need to get" like, it just whether it be because of salary or because of opportunity, it was like,
Gotcha.
I'm taking my technical expertise and my skills, and I'm just using whatever internship I get in the Canadian ecosystem to then land something in the US ecosystem.
Okay.
Um, and I think that was always, like, the conversation between, like, a lot of the top students at that school.
Gotcha. Okay.
Um,
Even if
yeah.
the opportunity is different, right? Like you're there to build something. There's some people maybe looking to join FANG companies, but
Yeah.
regardless of opportunity, the collective conversation amongst your peer group is how quickly do we get here to find that opportunity?
Exactly, exactly,
Okay.
and even for those like me who didn't really think like that in the beginning,
Okay.
I think I'm like the minority, ended up somehow getting pulled into that environment, right? And yeah,
Were you rejecting it, or did you just not go into? Were you going to school to just go to school?
it's like I didn't necessarily like I don't know if it was like naivety or like just I've never like I never been exposed to it, but in my head I was like, there it can't be that much different. Like that was the funny part to me because I was like the biggest advocator to staying, and, like, getting whether it be getting a role there or, like, I always thought, "Oh, people are just complaining because" or students are just complaining about, like, the, I guess, economic viability of staying here, like, when you're a really
Yeah.
talented student because they just can't land something that's really good. Like, that was always the way I was thinking. And then, like, I got here and I experienced it firsthand, and that's, I guess, what differentiated it for me.
Okay.
Like, actually experiencing it, actually feeling it.
That's a perfect transition because now we can get back to the second half, which is your experience here so far. You were talking about the distance to the opportunity. And you were talking about like, hey, there's lots of founders around here that you can meet and connect with. I'm assuming it's got to be more than that because you go to any major city in Canada, you can meet and connect with tons of Canadian founders. What is the day-to-day experience like? Is it like what do you feel like you're accessing beyond the fact that you want to pitch competition and you have like the funding to really run your company, which is maybe a little unheard of in Canada? What else are you getting from this that has converted your perspective?
Yeah. Okay. I will say to I think I have a little bit of a disagreement with what you had said, like, oh, like you go to any major Canadian city and you can find founders.
Yeah.
That's true. But I think you have to really want to find them. Like
Okay.
it doesn't necessarily come to you. Like the events or maybe the opportunities or somewhat, and that's like why we need things like Socratica, right? Like Socratica is amazing
Yeah.
and it pushes for that ecosystem. And some of the I remember they were mentioning like the reason it wouldn't work in San Francisco is because they don't need it. Like
Yeah.
that they don't need to create the spaces. We need to create the spaces.
Yeah.
So
So for our
that
audience
a
unfamiliar, Socratica is a University of Waterloo student founded organization that now has little splinter cells across the globe, filled with these cracked kids building things and creating like a basically their own social peer
their
network.
hobbies, their
Yeah.
yeah, and turning that into something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
building anything. It doesn't have to be companies. I we'll link in the show notes to some things that we've written about them, including some Socratica members who wrote about Socratica for BetaKit, which was pretty incredible. But
Oh, really?
yeah, but so you're saying that like the Valley doesn't need a Socratica because the network is already there. Is it less finding it, or do you feel like you have easier access to a more senior tier of people, or are you just surrounded by other young Canadians in the Valley looking to connect with people?
Other young Canadian. Yeah, everywhere I turn, it's a water the student. I think it's like the best way I can describe it is like, is it osmosis or is it diffusion? Diffusion? Like
Yeah.
diffusion. It's like or passive diffusion. It's like it's just always there. Whether it be like chats about AI and what's new in innovation or in tech, or whether it be like my particle. Like I didn't even know what particle was until I got here.
Mhm.
My particle. popping off every 5 seconds because there's some Rust workshop or something going on, that's, like, 5 minutes away from me, that's kind of what I mean, like, I can't escape it. Like, that's the best part, you can't escape it. It's just always there. There's whether you're talking about innovation or you're talking about some event, and you go to
Mhm.
these events and there are decision makers there. Like, that's the best part. It's like whether like, okay, let's look for example, if you're looking for an internship, there are hiring managers, there are heads of engineering at like something that's big that's been going on is like a robot fight night they've been doing that's kind of been picking up. I don't know if you've heard of those stories that have been appearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they've been doing these robot fight nights and like you go there and it's hilarious. Like it's fun, it's super cool. It's a bunch of tech nerds nerding out. But then you could very well find your next job there. Or on the flip side, if you're an entrepreneur, you can very well find your next like
Gotcha.
investor there.
Okay.
And they have like a whole investor pitch and everything, right? So
Do you feel like you're treated differently there? Like, I think one of the things that we were talking about before, and you had said that like in SF, you're not defined by your age or pedigree. And I'm wondering
yes.
if you can be, given that I am like effectively cooked and have no pedigree, I'm wondering if you can, relate to that experience of just being a young person in that place and what you're looking for and what you're finding.
Yeah. Yeah, so age is a huge thing. I think that's one of like the greatest things about me. Like you can be 18, 19, 20, 25. Like it doesn't really people don't look at you as a kid. They look at
Mm.
you at what have you created and what are you building and what are your skills and like what's your impact. Like that is essentially like the baseline. Um on the flip side, I actually flew back to Toronto like a month ago
Yeah.
and I went to a conference there and one of the first things I heard like one of the heads of an entrepreneurship program say was like 20-year-old like he was just basically explaining a story and he was like this 20-year-old or 21-year-old in my program thinks he knows how to think like a CEO. And,
Mm.
like, that juxtaposition, the dichotomy between those 2 environments is hilarious to me, because, like, I was, like, thrown back into that original way of thinking of, like, you don't know what you're doing because you're so young, and, like, who knows what they're doing? Like, the whole point is that you're supposed to go and try it out and learn it, right? And that, like, there's no fear of failure here. In terms of pedigree, like, definitely there's situations and cases, like, everybody always says, like, Y Combinator is, like, they look if they see Stanford or oftentimes even Waterloo, they'll be like, "Okay, like, come on in."
Mhm.
But I think, like I mean, half of the time people here are, like, dropouts, so that's one thing. Real
Yeah.
yeah, so that's, like, a huge thing. I guess you're kinda all on the same playing field. Um, and yeah, like, really it's just, like, your experiences decide where you go next, not
Okay.
necessarily where your skills decide where you go next.
All right. I think maybe we'll take a break there, and then I want to ask you a little bit more about your company and what you're going to be trying to build in SF. This episode of the Beta Kit Podcast is presented by QuickBooks on the Intuit platform, built to help Canadian businesses work smarter, more efficiently, and make confident decisions. The QuickBooks on the Intuit platform is an all-in-one connected platform that uses artificial intelligence and human expertise to simplify how you run and grow your business. From managing cash flow and payroll to personalized, proactive insights leveraging the power of AI agents, QuickBooks helps you save time and focus on what matters most. Today, I'm joined by Pooja Sabrin, Regional VP and GM of Canada and Latin America for Intuit, who's going to talk to me about the recently redesigned QuickBooks. All right, Pooja, thank you for joining me. I want to jump right in and have you explain to me, why does this redesign matter? How is it impactful?
So we are really excited today to be announcing the launch of our new, more powerful QuickBooks on an all-in-one Intuit platform. And the reason I'm so excited about it is because of the benefits that it will bring to small business customers. Everything from improved efficiencies, improved insights that can facilitate decision making, as well as automation that can really save customers' time. So what this platform will involve is 3 main components. So we will be introducing a set of proactive AI agents that will essentially automate a number of different tasks for the small business agents and work in collaboration with human experts while always giving the business owner and or their accountants complete and ultimate decision control. So that's a key part of the benefit. The second benefit is completely, as I talked about, an all-in-one platform. It's a redesigned, more streamlined view that brings all the key, or what we call critical jobs to be done by a small business, together in one place, so that you're preventing having to switch from multiple applications. So anything from customer management, payments, payroll, all the accounting, all in one place. And the third piece is through this one platform, also allowing easy integration to any third-party applications that small businesses are coming in. So truly bringing it all together to then seamlessly collaborate with experts like accounting professionals.
Can we talk about the specific changes that the new QuickBooks offers small businesses?
So why I'm excited is it brings in a combination of proactive AI agents that will really help drive a number of key benefits and efficiencies for our customer, as well as surfacing key insights that improve decision making. And it's all brought in one place with the critical jobs to be done. So the AI agents with human experts and all the key jobs to be done in one platform. And that would include anything from the accounting that a business has to do, payments, payroll, customer management, to make it easy for a small business owner to have it in one.
You know, it's a hard time for a lot of Canadian founders and small business owners right now. I just want to take a step back and have you talk to me about what you saw people experiencing in terms of their workflows, what problems you were trying to help them solve with the redesign.
If I look at one of the biggest challenges small businesses have is time. Right? It's time to focus on what they need to do to drive the growth of their business. They are really bogged down by a lot of operational issues. They're bogged down by working on multiple systems. In our research, we talked about 6 to 9, and sometimes you have small businesses using up to 30 applications. So there's a lot of inefficiency as you switch from system to system, as you have data in multiple systems. So this whole fragmentation of systems, as well as decision fatigue, that really slows small businesses down. And what we are doing with this new launch is helping to facilitate all of these challenges that small businesses face by bringing it and simplifying it into one platform that brings their critical jobs to be done and ultimately gives small businesses what they need, the time to focus on what really matters and help grow their business.
QuickBooks on the Intuit platform is an all-in-one connected business solution that leverages the power of artificial intelligence and human expertise to simplify how you run and grow your business. From managing cash flow and payroll to delivering personalized insights, leveraging the power of AI agents, QuickBooks helps you spend less time crunching numbers and more time growing your business. Visit quickbooks.intuit.com/CA to see how Intuit QuickBooks can help you. You've been talking a lot about culturally how different things are in SF from what you've experienced in Canada. And I'm sure that at your age, that like permissionless network of other people trying to build stuff is so much more encouraging and inciting than maybe the gatekeeping you were experiencing, passive or otherwise here. But I want to go back to how that's helping your company overall. And like building is a little bit different than the environment in which you're building in. So talk to me about how you're looking to use this opportunity to scale your business, and whether you are, two Canadian founders from UW and U of T and SF right now because of the opportunity, or if you're going to become a re-domiciled company. Like what's the plan? What's the roadmap, knowing that you're just celebrating your 1-year anniversary right now?
Mm-hmm. I think for us, like the biggest thing is just scaling. I think that's everybody's really like at this stage. We are actually in the middle of our seed raise.
Okay.
And so that's been, I think like even talking about what kind of what SF has meant outside of the cultural part of it, in terms of like what it means for our company. Um, I think in terms of like building, one of the biggest things we want to do is like develop systems that are a lot more automated, right? And that's like AI is everything like in our current ecosystem, right? And so that's been really helpful because the newest technologies or the newest like most frontier models are always being presented to me so quickly, right?
Mhm.
And so like automating things like what I was talking about earlier, like the creation of these assessments and like actually creating these systems that emulate all of the tools that you would be using in these laboratories. Like the reason a lot of people haven't done this before is because the it's such a broad scope that the technology we had in the past just didn't make it feasible.
Yeah.
And now that's become an opportunity. Another thing, like we just kind of partnered with Onshape, which is like the third, I think the one of the fastest growing like CAD systems in the world. And like that again wouldn't have been possible without kind of the network and the ecosystem and somebody turning to me and saying, "Why are you building your own CAD model? Like just just partner with X, right?" And so
Gotcha.
that was great. So making those distributions with or like making those partnerships with companies that have the current infrastructure that could be used in these assessments is like a very big for us.
Is that something you weren't
Um,
finding in Canada? Because like again, you're starting from a place where you were basically building a tool that would help your fellow students in your program get a job easier. But you also talked about being down in Texas and like just the hard tech infrastructure there. I think, the KW region is known for that. Are you closer to your customers, or is again speed to partnerships that it's just accelerating growth? Like where are you at,
yeah,
top line in terms of kind of like whatever metrics you're comfortable sharing 1 year in, and
yeah,
how
of
is
course.
being an SF helping you accelerate those metrics?
Yeah, I think honestly, like in terms of actually like signing deals and getting people to try it out, like actually our early partners were from Toronto and from the Waterloo area. So
Oh,
I need to shout out those locations, like they were helpful. Our first two pilots were a Toronto-based company, two Toronto-based companies. And we've like now signed like I think it's now 500K in LOIs that we're hoping to convert after we or letters of intent for after our seed round.
that's what the seed round's
Um,
for, right? You sign all these LOIs and then you need the money to go execute them so you
and
can
go
make it, right?
execute on
Yes,
them. But like
absolutely.
everybody shows up and they're like, okay, this is a huge issue, and you're like, oh my gosh, I am one person and two hands. Like,
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
can I actually make this work?
That's
Um,
B2B SaaS. That's the beauty of B2B SaaS.
That's the beauty of it. You just create so much demand and hype, and then you have to now go get the capital
Yeah,
to make it
absolutely.
happen. So yeah, so we have all that like kind of working towards there and just working to convert those. And also like again, like a few of those LOIs are from the Waterloo region. Again, which is phenomenal. I think in terms of Waterloo does this well. Okay, I want to separate Waterloo from like I think a
Well,
lot of the other Canadian regions. Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
okay.
I'm gonna do it. It might be a problem.
No, it's fine.
But
I want to hear your perspective, man.
yeah,
How is UW how is Waterloo different from the rest of Canada in that
I
way?
think like the touch of innovation is there. Like the thought process when we're of thinking about like how do we make this better? How do we create like this huge impact in some space, whether it be in like deep tech, space, or whatever the case may be. That thinking is there, and it's also like the thirst for trying new things is also there. Like a lot of people say the reason you come to SF is you can find your customers really easily. You go to a company and you're like, hey, I have this new tool. They're more inclined to try it. And that has been something that I've seen. But
Yeah.
that's also true in Waterloo.
Okay. That's not true in the rest of Canada. I completely agree with
Yeah,
you.
no,
We may
I
have
can't say that.
just done a whole podcast episode on how procurement in Canada is broken. I'm going to hold my finger up in the air right here, and then there's going to be a link that pops up. We'll put it in the show notes as well for our audio listeners. Completely agree with you that it might be easier to find customers there. Are you still planning to scale in Canada, either in your revenue base or your team? Like where are you putting people on the ground? Do you need to put people on the ground, or is it just the two of you and some AI CAD key software helping students get hired?
Yeah, so originally our goal was to come back. I'm gonna be honest.
Okay.
We were thinking, okay, we're gonna be here for that year, maybe even 6 months, see what happens, and then go back. Now that has changed. Like we've been talking to like I mean I don't know how much I should be saying, but Esther's not here. Um, like we've been talking to like immigration lawyers, like looking into O1s and stuff like that. Like how can we stay longer and like keep getting value
Yeah.
from the environment. And I think, yeah, like when we raise, like, I mean, maybe I'm saying this too prematurely, but like the hiring will probably be done from individuals near this area.
Gotcha.
Oftentimes, or I still think I'm a hot take, but I still think Waterloo engineers are like a lot brighter than a lot of those Ivy League schools you'd find here. I think they just need to be given the opportunity.
Well,
So
here's the interesting situation though, because as a co-founder, you suddenly find yourself in the position. Do you try to hire the Waterloo engineers that are willing to come to SF, and then you have to pay them SF rates, or are you going to try to hire the ones that stay in Canada and pay them Canadian rates? I'm assuming that that's been an ongoing conversation amongst your peer groups, right? Of like just top line salary and opportunity and what that means.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's definitely been like a conversation. I think that really comes down to like how I think that's the beauty of like software roles. They don't have to be you don't have to be in the same place. And so I guess like things like salary and other factors play a role, or at least a bigger role, than location. I will say I don't know, I used to not be a very big, like, atmosphere or culture person, but I would like at least, like, the founding engineer to be here, like, an individual
Sure.
that plays such a big role around me, like, a Waterloo engineer that's willing to ship their way over here, and that's not too hard to find,
Yeah.
um, would be
Okay.
would be ideal.
Okay. I want to ask you because, we're recording this just a couple days after a good friend of mine, Toki, based out of Vancouver, who just ran, he runs Vancouver.dev, I think, and he just ran a 100-person Canadian meetup in SF. I think there was a couple people there wearing t-shirts that saying that SF is just uh, Canada wrapper.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
which is a t-shirt that I would like to get. But I think, laddering this out, it doesn't seem to me that your experience or what is so compelling with this is isolated to you. It seems to be a broader based experience that people your age are having. I'm wondering at this point in time, like you're talking about the network, you're talking about the excitement, you're talking about the access to opportunity, you're talking about the customers even. This is also coming at a really interesting time where the US Canada dynamic has changed, and that friendly open border is becoming a little bit more fraught. Depending upon what commercials are running during the World Series, the President of the United States might change trade policy between our two countries. And I just have to broadly say that the state of the union in America is a little it's weakened right now. Are at this age, and I hope that doesn't seem too judgy, but just at what you're looking for in life right now, do those macro socioeconomic considerations come into play for you? Or do you consider SF to be a similar bubble in the way that Waterloo is a bubble relative to the rest of Canada? Like, are you tracking the experience of coming across that border or what it means to live in America right now? Or are you, 1,000 miles away from that?
Mhm, mhm. That's a really good question. I would say okay, I think, like, to preface it,
Mhm.
um, in terms of, like, an entrepreneurial raising capital, getting customer standpoint, this is the place to be. But in terms of, like, lifestyle and, like, infrastructure because, like, at the end of the day, like, I feel like the US is a very country within a country. Like, it's not like Canada, like, it's a nice place to be. Like, and at the end of the day, that's where I would like to settle, if I
Gotcha.
had to choose between the 2. And that's, like, a pretty strong point I often make. And I think that's actually a point a lot of people feel as well. It's like, "Let me come here build my career, take advantage of the opportunities, and then at least their initial thought process, or from what I'm hearing from like individuals in my circle, is like, and then I'll go back and I'll stay there
Is that
and
like
whatever
go
they want.
back and get married, go back and have kids, go back, or go back when this company is at this certain stage and I can comfortably run it from there? Like, what's your hurdle that you're looking across?
Mine is like, yeah, I think it'd be like it reaches a certain stage where it's no
Okay.
longer like the hustle startup like
Gotcha.
mindset, and
Okay.
me being in the place of where it is not as important anymore.
Okay.
I think that's important. And I think, yeah, in terms of kind of what you were touching on earlier, I think for me right now, SF is a nice place in the sense that like it's not necessarily like super
Mhm.
American, I'd say. It's like it draws a lot of people from a bunch of different backgrounds. It's just like, are you really hungry to make some sort of impact and difference? Like the momentum or the momentum you can make is massive. And so like it's like that those are the people who come, which is why like there are a lot of Canadians here. I
Yeah.
think it's just a particular mindset of the people. Yeah. So
Yeah. I wonder if you are actually getting an American experience or if you're just getting the experience of being surrounded by Canadians in a foreign country.
I
But
you know that's the funniest part because okay, my co-founder was like we went to a Canadian meetup. And we were so happy because like the I guess like outside of the company context, like it was nice because I think I feel like I'm gonna get in a lot of trouble for what I'm saying here, but like the the conversations I think were a lot more wholesome. Like,
mm,
I think again, like, the Canadian atmosphere, the infrastructure, like, actually, like, the city itself, for anything other than building a company is just better in my opinion. It's
really?
a nice yeah, I I would say so. I
Okay.
think it only comes down to the what you are doing at the time, and that touches back to, like, the whole macroeconomic state. Like, in my current state, my goal is this, and
Gotcha.
so, like, is Coair. So, therefore, like that being my top priority, that's the thing that's going to, uh, propel my decisions.
Okay.
Later when the priorities change, then everything else I think would change as well.
Okay. To close this off, I want to hit you with a couple just lightning round tweet length questions here, man. So I'm gonna hit you pretty rapid fire, and I want you to give me as wonderfully honest answers as you can give me so far.
Oh dear, I'm nervous.
You were a third year UW engineering student. Do you
Yes.
plan on graduating?
I plan on graduating eventually. To be quite honest with you, I work too hard, I want my ring, but
Okay.
definitely might be pushed.
Okay. I,
Yeah.
I will never tell you what year I graduated in, but I completely understand that answer. As someone who left school for work. Um, you had mentioned this before. I want to ask you about this explicitly. At Toronto Tech Week earlier this year, Aidan Gomez, CEO of Coair, Mike Katchen, CEO of Simple, it just raised an astronomical amount of money in the Canadian context, and Shopify President Harley Finkelstein were talking about what is required to keep Canadian founders in Canada, and we're pushing a just say no message to reincorporating. I want to ask you two questions here. Do you plan to reincorporate in the United States? And before doing that, would you be willing to take up those three CEOs' offer of speaking to you on the phone before making that decision? Because that's something that they offered at Toronto Tech Week. I think actually both Harley and Aidan were like, if you know of a Canadian founder that's looking to reincorporate, have them call me beforehand. Are you planning to reincorporate? And before you do so, would you be willing to talk to them? Because I might be able to make that happen.
Yeah, so we are planning on it. To be quite frank, I think Esther had that call today, of like planning that out.
Gotcha.
But I'd be more than happy to talk because or like hear their point because I think it's been very one-sided, and I'd like to hear something something I haven't heard before.
What's the one side that you're hearing right now and why you need to reincorporate?
I don't know much about that's like Esther's domain, but I
Yeah,
think one of the
yeah.
biggest thing is like I just
I got
go
a good sense of the co-founder dynamic from this
yeah.
conversation. Totally fine.
I keep bringing her up. Something to do with like taxes, I
Okay.
think.
Okay.
I think is one of the biggest reasons. I'm sure there's more.
Okay.
If I was like a legal student, but yeah.
Okay. Taxes is a big one. What would you tell people your age right now who are maybe considering making the jump, aren't sure if it's right for them? Like, what advice would you give them now that you've been there for a couple months? You've had some experience. The old velocity garage thesis was that you put the brand new companies in beside the companies that had been there for 6 months, so they could just teach them all the things they had just figured out. What would you say to young Canadian entrepreneurs who are maybe thinking about figuring this out in SF right now?
I would say, and I hate that I would say this, is like you should come down and you should do it just for a little bit. I think you need to experience the drive and the energy, and then I hope that people bring it back. And change like our ecosystem as well while still keeping those Canadian values and cultures. but I'd say do it.
Okay.
Go there and see the difference.
Okay. That might have preempted my last question for you, man, because I was going to ask you, and I still want to hear if this is a yes or no, or there's a reason here. What would have kept you in Canada?
That's a great question. I think if a to be quite honest, like if a VC discovered us first, like it was first come first serve, and it was an American VC that said they'd give us money and try it out, right? So I think it's kind of like identifying it early. I think I would have been like, now I'm loyal to the place I was in, and I would have never left. I would have never
Yeah.
seen, right? So I
Yeah.
think that's the biggest part.
Network effects, they have a
Yeah,
gravity to them, right? Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Hey, man, I really appreciate you being so forthcoming about your journey, your experience. I hope you continue to have an incredible time there. I hope you also stay safe in the United States. I
Yes,
hope
indeed.
you,
My mom is hoping that as well.
yeah, I hope you do not reincorporate. This one's for your mom. I'll proxy. I'll play the uncle role here. I hope you do not reincorporate. I hope you keep your tax revenue and your IP in Canada. But I really appreciate the time, man, and I'm looking forward to seeing how Coair develops, because you got all those LOIs you got to satisfy now, right?
Yeah, all those odds are it's gonna be a busy month.
It's awesome, man.
Yeah,
Really appreciate
yeah.
the time.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.